Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another 1 vs 1 cast, StarCraft 2. I am happy to be bringing you an interesting game on focusing on one particular player who I particularly enjoy, and I'll get to that in a moment. But overall, this is going to be on Tal'darim Altar, Protoss versus Terran. Up here in the top left, our green Protoss player, ZaloMonkada. I'll probably just call him Zalo for short, as I do tend to talk very quickly at times. I've been told this by a number of people. Spawning in the top right side is going to be our red Terran player, binski. Now, binski is the player that I'd like to focus on, so I'll get to him in just a moment. ZaloMonkada, well, a little bit about this game first off. A lot of people who know StarCraft will know that generic ladder games, which is just random matchups on the overall servers among the generic player base, will be red versus blue. Always. Period. It doesn't change. However, Zalo is green. That means this is first and foremost not a ladder game. This game is actually from the Texas eSports Association's third tournament, Texas StarCraft Showdown, that was held in late October of 2011. Now, I was fortunate enough to be there, volunteering on hand, offering my computer to be used, actually a couple of computers by any players that needed to. I'm always happy to support StarCraft and eSports, and it was another opportunity. Now, binski is asking if this is the right Tal'darim. He's not sure if this is, and this is MLG, so maybe binski thought this was generic ladder, who knows. But he's saying the crevice still exists. Maybe a spot like right here. There's a little bit of a, and that's the detail that these pro players get to, is because they just, and I know they're not going to switch. The length for this is far too long, as long as you don't. Oh, it's this right here. This is probably what he was looking at. And that may be removed in other things. And the two players going back and forth. So, this matchup was at the Texas StarCraft Showdown, Fall 2011. I was there on hand. I actually was lucky, so lucky, to cast with Evil Genius's In Control, and binski going for a very fast expand here right off the bat. I was lucky to cast with In Control, a well-known player. He didn't cast this game in particular, nor did I. This is just something that was going on in the generic tournament play. Of course, you can't cast every single game when there was, I believe there were 128 players on hand. May have been, I believe it was 128 open bracket online, and then they had 64 at the live event. Suffice to say, there are a whole lot of games going on, and you can't cast them all. However, I was able to pick this one out for two reasons. First and foremost, binski used my computer. So, woohoo! I was able to snag some replays off of it after getting it set up. Maybe denying an expansion there. And binski, I actually got to meet with him, of course, since I was using the computer, or since he was using my computer. I spoke with him for a bit. He's such a very nice player. Getting into a little bit about these players, as I know people probably don't know either of these players. So it's always good for a little background. binski is currently ranked 82nd on the North American Grandmaster. I know that he is Masters in Korea. He plays on both regional servers. And there are a number of things, he's very nice. I speak to him online frequently. I asked if I could cast this game. He said only if I could get another copy of another game, and I was happy to send it. I'm not sure what this SCV is up to, doing a little dance over there. He's very good, as you have to be, to make Grandmasters in the North American server and Masters in Korean. Almost going to 4 health. Come on, Sentry, you can do it. You can do it. And there he goes. Now, the other player, not to talk down ZaloMonkada, however, I couldn't find him ranked on the North American servers. He was at this event live, so I would like to assume that he's from North America. However, to have him not ranked on the ladder says a couple of things. It means that he could be a lower player, or at least he wasn't in the top 500 Masters nor the Grand Masters. That could have changed. He may have just not done his placement for the new season. He could just not ladder a whole lot. There are some pro players that honestly will just not ladder. They want to practice with their teammates, they want to practice with their friends, and they don't like the ladder system. And hey, if you're still awesome through all that, then more props to you. We do have a ton of sentries, 5 full sentries on the field for Moncada. He's expecting maybe a 2-Rex push, some kind of an early push. And he's seen the expansion, he's seen the bunker. So I'm not sure. Force fields can be especially effective. You just need a whole lot to cover that wide area right along there. And, well, with a lot of force fields comes a lot of sentries. Or is it the other way around? Binski going up for a pretty standard bio play. He actually didn't 1-1-1 his opponent at the time. 1-1-1 was exceptionally powerful. In fact, still is, if I'm not mistaken. Especially against Protoss, who just have such a hard time countering. Binski playing it safe, dropping a missile turret. This is always good because just in case if an observer flies by, you can catch it. And if there's any sort of a DT rush, you really don't want to lose to just some little silly thing. You're like, oh, why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I plan for it? Why didn't I accidentally hit the forge or not the Twilight Council? It looks like some blink play may be coming out, or we could be moving into a charge lot High Templar Archon build. The large amount of zealots being warped in. That could be likely. Both players just continuing to gear up here. Stim and Combat Shields finishing both at just the same time, so we do have actually 2 tech labs. Which means we can be supply blocked. Binski, you silly Terran. In fact, he's just now starting a supply depot. Wow. My voice cracked a little bit there. Ah, here are a few that finished. You can see his supply is back up and he's producing. There's the charge for the zealots. I think we are going to be seeing a form, especially with this armor upgrade. Really makes them powerful because they start off with 1 armor and they have 100 armored health. Which means the armor upgrades don't affect the shields, but they're still 2/3 health, or 2/3 armor, 1/3 shield. We do have a warp prism on the way as well. And that concussion shell's on the way. Now, I'm sure the SCV spotted all these zealots. He probably knows that charge is on the way, although he'll see these sentries and think it was just a generic sentry zealot build. Now here comes the push from Binski. It's going to be just about timed with this +1. Force fields going down, a little overlapping, but still pretty good. Pinning a lot of these Marines in the back here. The zealots aren't going to be able to get back to them. The warp prism is going to come down and it should set up right here. No, it's actually rallying all the way, but there's action going on here, so why would we possibly want to watch that? The bio ball is going to stay alive. And just so, now probes have been pulled, and those 3 zealots can do a whole lot as charge is getting ready to finish. Okay, now let's see, where is this thing going? Because, man, it really could have... Maybe it's rallying over to here. That's the only thing I can think of, and then he'll rally it up and try to drop right in the back here. Binski pulling back with his Marines, his Marauders, and we do have a Twilight Count, or a Templar Archives. There it is, going down. More reinforcing infantry on the way. Medevacs are being produced as well, and that +1 weapon has finished. The +1 armor is on the way, and +2 armor right away coming out for the Protoss ground. This speaks that he's not going to go a very heavy Archon build. You'd want to at least upgrade your weapons to help do the bonus. Archons come from for those that don't know, Archons come from Templars that are warped in. And they do extra damage versus biological, such as, you know, infantry. Oh, sneaky drop play going in here by Binski. Right into the back of his opponent. We see Skystorm hasn't been researched yet. In fact, we haven't even had Templars warping in. Zealots are charging in, but they're getting all bottlenecked right in this mineral line while another force sweeps around the side. They could focus down, they could try to focus down this nexus. They're doing the best they can. One group pulling out some great micromanaging by Binski here, having the 2 groups of his infantry. Fortunately, as one pulls back, the other is going to get a little sliced and diced here. Maybe could load right up into this medevac. Probes returning to go back to work and help deal some damage against these Marauders. 1 zap at a time. But still, this Nexus could go down if it gets focused, and it does. So Binski doing probably all the damage he'll be willing to do, or at least forcing Moncada to pull back. The +1 armor hasn't finished, but it is about to click. There it is. The +2 weapons also on the way. The +1 weapon is on the way for our Protoss ground, along with the 2 armor. Archons are being morphed, and they do those extra damage versus living units, non-mechanicals. Oh, and the +2 armor stopped from the unpowered Artosis pylon. I think this is going to spell the end of the game for Zalo. These 2 Archons get flanked. They do the extra damage versus. You can see them just popping the infantry, but there's just too much. The Zealots are going to charge in here. They're going to try to get as many hits as they can until they all just load up and go away. Now behind all this, Zalo realizes he's just too far as he sees his opponent getting ready to take a third. In fact, moving the command center over, pulling more forces out, even getting a Ghost Academy. ZaloMonkada, GG's, out of the game. This was, again, from the Texas eSports Association's tournament in October 2011. binski for ZaloMonkada. Great control by binski, showing the power of the Terran infantry, especially before your opponent, Protoss, can get up into that Psystorm Archon play. This is a best-of-3 series. Unfortunately, I'm only casting the one. I'm going to be moving into another binski game, and if you enjoyed this one, I hope to see you in the next.